Ready?
Alright. Have y'all ever had somebody tell y'all when you had a fever that it would burn out the infection? Y'all ready? I'm going to tell you that. I know my mother used to tell me that. I used to tell my kids that. But anyway, actually there's scientific fact that backs that up. And in my textbook, Human Anatomy and Physiology, it says that fever produces a substance that's known as endogenous pyrogen, or more colorfully known as fire maker from within. So in the RN program at Northwest, I learned that a fever is not harmful as long as it stays under 102.2 for adults or under 104 for kids. So most of this information about fever comes from a textbook that's used to train registered nurses, and it's called Basic Nursing Essentials for Practice. So, and y'all don't worry about trying to remember the safe numbers for fever, because I have handouts for you at the end that has that on there. So, fever helps your body fight off illness in 4 ways: by stimulating white blood cells, by reducing iron in the blood, and by stimulating interferon. And fever actually helps the doctor diagnose you too, but I'm going to explain all of these as we go along. So we all get sick from time to time, and we want to get well as soon as possible. And fever may seem like the enemy, but actually it's our friend and ally. And if we constantly are taking medicines to reduce our fever, then we're actually destroying our friend and ally, and we're helping the germs to survive, and we don't want that. So the first way that fever helps you get well is by stimulating white blood cells. And the reason that's important is because white blood cells actually eat the bad bacteria, and there's other white blood cells that actually produce antibodies that destroy or disable the foreign particles. The next thing that fever does is it reduces iron in the blood, and this is important because the bad bacteria needs iron to live. So our ally, fever, reduces the iron so that the germs will slow down and stop producing, and that's what we want, is for the germs to die. So, not only does fever increase white blood cells and reduce the iron in the blood, but it also stimulates a substance called interferon, which is our body's natural virus-fighting substance. And I know we all hate to go to the doctor and hear it's a virus, because that means they're not going to do anything, and that we just have to wait for it to get better and fight it on our own. But actually, we do have help, and that's from fever, because it produces interferon, and that's an immune system chemical, and it keeps the virus from multiplying. So, by now I hope you're convinced that fever is your friend and your necessary ally in fighting off sickness. And the 4th thing that fever can do is serve as a means for the doctor to accurately diagnose you. Nurse practitioner Carla Slayton advises her patients to use the 4th day rule, and by that she just means that if you run a fever for 3 days, then on that 4th day, it's time to go to the doctor. And so if you've kept records of your fever patterns, then that can help the doctor to diagnose you, because different problems have different temperature reactions. So if we constantly take fever-reducing meds, then we can't give accurate information. So don't be afraid to let yourself have fever, or your children have fever. And I've been reading Agatha Christie's autobiography, and she said something really interesting, and I'm going to quote her. She says, "Much more fuss is made about children now than was then the case. Temperatures, unless they were high, were not taken much notice of." So they may not have understood all of the fancy terms for your immune system and how it worked, but they did learn by observing, and they knew the limits, and they knew when to call the doctor, and they probably also told their kids that their fever would help to burn out the infection, and they were right. It will. So by letting our bodies have fever, we can fight illness and strengthen our immune systems, and this means fewer doctor visits, more money in our pockets, and this is my favorite thing it does. It gives you permission to rest, like this little boy right here. Maybe eat chicken soup, so that you and your body can work together to recover. So, in conclusion, while you're resting, you can depend on your ally fever to do 4 things: to stimulate white blood cells, reduce iron in your blood, to stimulate interferon, which is a natural virus-fighting substance, and your fever records can help your doctor make a correct diagnosis. So, the next time you're sick, pause before reaching for that medicine cabinet, and remember that fever is your friend and ally. It's fighting with you against that foreign object that's invading your body. So buy a thermometer, Allow yourself to be sick and to rest, and to have fever within those safe perimeters, and you can win the war against the germ that is attacking you.